I'm Simon Jordan. You'll probably be familiar with me.
Take two.
Split.
Why don't you just go, I'm Simon Jordan? That'd be enough for him.
Yeah. I'm Simon Jordan. You'll probably be familiar with me interviewing people with strong views.
But it's about time someone had a word with him about his vacuous opinions.
That's why myself, Troy Deeney, and the legend that is Graeme Souness have joined forces with Mr. Simon Jordan to create Free Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
This is a new show that tells it like it really is.
And it reaches in to all corners of the game we truly love.
Wow, that little bit.
Oh, Graham, that was brilliant. That extra word you put in there.
Everything that matters to you is analysed through the eyes of a player.
A manager.
And an owner. As we tackle the biggest talking points in world football on Free Up Front.
So subscribe to the Upfront channel for new weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my Upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself.
Hold on, mate. He can't be promoting his other show.
Oh, you very well can. This is the opportunity that you've been got on the back of it.
Yeah.
Welcome back for this episode of Three Up Front. Today, Graeme, Troy and I will look at which managers are next in line to take over the most successful in the game. We'll discuss the influence of the modern-day legacy managers, Klopp, Guardiola and Ancelotti, whilst exploring the reputation of British coaches, the next generation of elite manager, who will pick up the mantle. Start with you, Troy. Who do you think of today's crop of names that spring to mind are likely to pick up from the so-called perceived legacy managers?
I think this is going to sound a bit obvious, but he hasn't won enough yet to say he will do that. Would be Arteta, would be an obvious one, because he's built and he's showed over a short period of time that he can build a team and a squad. Just hasn't got over that hump yet, so he could still be perceived to be in that realm. I think we are getting a lot of managers now who are the same. There's a lot of the same type of style, doing the same type of influence of football. So you could pick about 8. I like Gary O'Neill. I know not everyone at this table does, but I think he's a clever operator in the way he's gone about his business and learned his craft.
Who doesn't like him?
I don't dislike him. I just think to elevate him into that bracket without having really done anything in the game.
What, elite manager? No one would elevate him into that bracket. Depends what you consider to be elite, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because elite is all relative, isn't it? Some would say there's 20 elite managers in football managing in the Premier League because that's the elite league.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the top of the tree...
I think it's a very hard question to answer. Because someone that we've not heard of, someone we've not thought of, someone who has been average elsewhere could, for whatever reason, end up with a Man City job. In a very short period of time could end up being
a great manager. What are you
basing
that on? So when has Man City gone to an unknown recently?
Well, you've asked me the question, I won't answer it. For me, I think recruitment's the most important thing. So right now, Man City have the best recruitment. They've got the best players. So Pep leaves next year. Whoever gets that job is more or less guaranteed to be successful.
Are they?
More or less guaranteed, yeah.
Why?
Because they've got great players.
Okay.
So you could take someone...
But that cycle of players, Graham.
Gary O'Neill. City is set up now where they've got the two, what's his name, Ferran and Bikiristan.
Yeah.
So they would appear to have the football knowledge and the contacts throughout the world to get the best players, knowing 2 years from now, he's going to be right for us. They are so far ahead of the game right now, everyone's catching up.
But like everything, we've agreed, have we not agreed that everything is cyclical? So I think the moment Guardiola goes out the door, the game changes again. And I know what you're saying, which is recruitment, which is a bit like Rocco Forte saying location. I get the principle of it. Right?
Timing.
To some extent, absolutely. Sliding door moments. But Guardiola's changed the rules of engagement, hasn't he? Nobody, not even your lot from the 70s, won 4 titles in a row. I would say that there's a distinct possibility that Man City's dominance would be arrested the moment Guardiola, because he was such a game changer. Mancini was a good manager. Pellegrini was a good manager, but these guys didn't own the Premier League like this fella does.
They are so far ahead of Man United, Liverpool, and anyone else. And if you got a chance to go to Man City right now, it's the number 1 club in the UK to go to.
Right.
So because
they're winning,
and they pay the biggest wages. And I think they'll have a plan, not for next year. It's a bit like the Chinese have a 100-year plan. We have a plan for 5 years our Prime Minister gets in. So Man City have this long-term plan. They're so far ahead because they have got in their mind already, we're going to get that player in 3 and 4 years' time. So I think whoever the new manager is will be walking into the most ridiculously healthy situation because they have got everything set out for the long term,
So by that
not
logic,
just
then,
next year.
so by that logic, we're pivoting off the elite manager. We'll come back to it in a second. By that logic, everyone's doomed. Man City
No,
are going
doomed.
to be
It's football. Anything can happen in football.
right. So what are you saying then?
I'm saying whoever gets
he's
the Man
walking into
City job will be walking into a
So
dream
is
job.
Liverpool good? So about 2 months ago,
I said that was a great
great
job.
job. So that's now changed
Still
slightly.
a great job.
Yeah, it's
It's
still a great job.
but with a question mark now that didn't exist 2 months ago.
Elite manager. You just said Arteta, and the rules of elite management are defined by what? What do
How
you
much
define?
you win?
How much you win? Okay, so he's won nothing right now besides an FA Cup. Yeah, you think he's an elite manager. Alonso's changed.
I was about to say that. Yeah,
he's changed the rules because normally you need a bit of stability, you need a passage of time. I think that's a crock of shit, by the way. I think you get the only stability you get is how well you do your job and how you show people that you're progressing. Which is why the Ten Hag argument comes back, and we all go, "Is he progressing?" But an elite management perspective is guided by nuance.
Yeah,
and yours is Arteta looks like the next generation. So what does Klopp look like then? When we talk about elite management, does he look like an elite manager?
He has been an elite manager.
By what standard?
Winning trophies.
What? 6
I think he
over
comes,
8 years?
Yeah, he comes into a league where they have spent a fraction of the team's, well, the team not to catch.
Yeah.
He's done, in the same time, Man United have spent twice as much. Chelsea spent twice as much.
But I think the argument pivots and changes. So the reason I said Arteta is because I think he's shown you the team he took over. He had his sticky patch because there was calls for him to go, and then now they're competing on a level all the time.
He's the most obvious one.
Yeah,
Troy.
and then the argument is winning. Well, if that's the case, then Xabi Alonso would come straight to the top. But he hasn't shown me having sort of sticky patch yet.
But I'm with you on Arteta. I think he's the most obvious candidate to be the next generation super coach. And I think he's in a situation where he can make that happen at Arsenal.
But he made some big choices as well. So to get rid of Aubameyang and Ozil.
Aubameyang was a big call, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were big calls because obviously he was still top goal scorer at that point. So I think that's where the coaching element to me says he's potentially going to be the next
I think is it still the same? I suppose you have to have a victim, I suppose, as a manager.
Yeah,
you don't have to look hard.
No.
Or be in a rush to find one that will find you.
What do you mean?
You got a chance to make your mark. This is not how we do it here.
With Aubameyang?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think that was a game changer. I think that changed the direction of travel because the moment he decided to make that decision, he sent a message to the dressing room.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he was supported by the board had a message sent to him.
Right.
The one key thing, everyone talks about coaches. Every coach is good. They know what they're doing. It's whether they can implement it to the top level. The one key thing with all of these successful businesses, as you know better than me, alignment, top to bottom. What are we doing? What's the travel of trajectory which we're going to go? How are we going to do it all? And then can this person execute it? So I think someone like Vincent Kompany is a very good coach.
He could end up being the next Man City coach.
Yeah.
And he wins the league every year. And yet he's going to get relegated this year. And that comes back to my point. You've got to have the best players. It's not always about the best coach. Have the best players.
But the ability to manage these players is a very different language, isn't it? I mean, if you look at Guardiola's style, say compared to Alex Ferguson, would Alex Ferguson translate now in today's game? Would he be able to pivot? Would Brian Clough be able to pivot?
I think, yeah.
I think they've got the intellectual capacity to do so. Would they have the desire to want to? You didn't want to. Would you have considered yourself a top manager?
No, I did okay. Just 11 trophies in.
Yeah, I know. But
in 3 different countries.
Let's not go down the ridiculous route of feigned humility. It's a direct question.
No, listen, a great manager would be someone who wins the leagues time and times again. I didn't do that.
But within the confines, you didn't manage great clubs besides Liverpool. And Liverpool at that time, whether you made it worse or better.
Well, it was a difficult time for everyone.
Everything's difficult. Otherwise, it wouldn't have got you in, would they? It's not difficult for people that are capable of doing it, perhaps. But the point is that you would have been considered a decent manager when you went to manage Blackburn Rovers. In the circumstances that you went to manage Blackburn Rovers, you hiked them out of the Championship at first instance, and so you were expected to do so. We're giving Arteta a real pat on the back because he's been given a lot of economic support, and he has been given a lot of economic support.
He's got him playing a brand of football.
Yeah.
He appears to have, he's got them with him.
Well,
and he's been hard. He would appear to have been hard on them.
Well, and you see that in the Ramsdale situation where there's no mucking about. He learned that lesson from that's out of the Guardiola playbook, isn't it? But now we're talking about someone. Let's just pivot off Arteta for a second and move into someone like Unai Emery.
Yeah,
that we would say is doing a fabulous job at Aston Villa. Right? Does that make him an elite manager because he's his predecessor?
Yeah,
at Arsenal.
He's won European competitions as well.
So does that make him an elite manager?
I think, yeah. I think winning European competitions. I mean, anyone can get lucky once. But if you're a serial winner, like he was it 3 he got? So he's proper.
I've got a name I want to throw at you guys. I'm interested for your take. Zinedine Zidane. He would come under elite because he ticks a lot of the boxes. He's foreign manager, foreign coach, won things, serial winner, but never.
He's only won a European Cup.
But he'll go to his territory, won't he? Surely, of saying you get a good group of players and an average manager, you're likely to get an outcome. No. Have we seen anything from Zidane that makes him an elite manager?
Well, other than the trophies he's won
with the players at Real Madrid,
who are the best group of players.
Yeah. So that's in your territory.
So he's yet to be tested, hasn't he? Go and take a West Ham.
He doesn't seem to be wanting to take a job though.
No, go and take a West Ham.
Unless it's the right job.
Well, it doesn't need
someone like him going to West Ham. Does Pep go to West Ham? Does Ancelotti go? Ancelotti went to Everton. We've seen how that worked out. I come back to, unless you've got top players, you ain't going to be winning the top trophies. End of.
What about the Thomas Tuchels of the world? Because one of the component parts of being an elite manager is clearly and most evidently, I would suggest, and probably we're going to agree, aren't we? Because it's about winning things. But when you look at these managers and their ability to manage up, like Thomas Tuchel, you could make a case by your logic. You think that you winning the European Cup or the Champions League as it is now, right, is a defining point of someone's career. I'd say it's a cup competition, and it's a remarkable cup competition.
And anyone can get lucky once, yeah.
Yeah, but you still say, and you have said it to me previously, that you win a European Cup, you're an elite manager.
Yeah, it's the biggest trophy you can win in European football in many people's eyes.
But some would argue that the next generation of managers that are going to take over these legacy managers that we are talking about, which is Guardiola and Klopp, not just elite legacy managers because of their achievements and what they've done with their clubs and the clubs they've done it at, right? But Tuchel goes into clubs and seems to cause division wherever he goes. His achievements on the pitch stand the test of time because he goes into Chelsea, wins the European Cup, Champions League, after 4 or 5 months. Yet the common denominator of getting booted out of PSG, Tuchel, getting booted out of Chelsea for non-football related matters, I would assume, because it can't be for what's going on the pitch because they're going in the right direction. And he's about to get himself drop kicked out of Bayern Munich, right? Because they haven't won the Bundesliga for the first time in 11 years. But some would argue that he's a natural successor and heir to the throne of the next generation of legacy managers. But I would say part of being a legacy manager is your ability to manage up, and I don't think he can.
I've met him, and he was nice enough. He was respectful. He didn't have any.
Yeah, but you're not his employer.
And I didn't see any signs where he'd be someone to be difficult to work with.
But the evidence is before your eyes.
Yeah,
he was walked out backwards from PSG and Chelsea and now Bayern Munich.
Sometimes, although it's hard for you to understand, there are difficult owners around.
Oh, granted. No one disputes that. And being an owner is a difficult job because we have to deal with people like you talking nonsense and patronising, right? Or trying to. But the point is that if there's a common denominator, if you've got...
For those people listening, he was looking at Troy there, by the way.
if you notice he's on film, right? That's why his cameras are set up. Well, you understand that?
There's a possibility that Graeme has a face for radio, that they're going to make this a big audio show more than a televisual one. Right? But there is a common denominator with Tuchel, which is that Nasser Khelafi he works for Todd Bowley, and now he works...
All your mates.
All my mates.
I don't know if you noticed, there's good owners are the ones that have given Sam the time of day, bottom lunch, bottom of drink. Yeah. They're his mates. Daniel Levy, Khalifi. Who's on the big cheese you just mentioned?
Bowley.
Todd Bowley. They're his mates.
That's not true.
It doesn't give them a hard time.
That's not true.
They're really good at their job.
I have the ability to be objective. And I never take a free lunch, unlike some I can mention.
I'll share you Simon's views on British managers. Don't work hard enough. Not disciplined though. Lazy.
You know the rules of engagement, right? You're not going to get what you want when you want it. Daniel's not going to change the habits of a lifetime by spending hundreds of millions of quid.
Manager is God until he's not. And I think that suits him very, very, very well. But I think his reputation in England is done, personally.
But if you advocate for him to go into Man United, how the hell are you going to change what you've currently got there, which is a culture of mediocrity and poor standards? He'll make you more media facing. Why are British managers so far down the peck. I've got my opinions and I'm going to share them with you. But why are British managers so far down the pecking order?
I'll share you Simon's views on British managers.
Go on.
Don't work hard enough. Not disciplined enough. Lazy.
Institutionalized.
Yeah,
I threw my voice there, Graeme.
Yeah. I can understand that. I would certainly disagree with it as well. I'd certainly disagree with that. Again, very short time period in my journey. 22 hours a day, easy.
How many English managers you've actually played for?
No,
that's a very good question. We
I
did touch on this last week.
Right.
Remind us how many managers you got the sack?
Not as many as this man.
How many managers have you worked for? Seriously?
18.
But hang on a second.
That's
Just
a
go
lot
back
of
to my
managers.
question,
Yeah,
right? We talk about, you use statistics when it suits you to advance an argument. I think
Unusual.
no, I don't actually. I use facts.
Honest Joe.
No, absolutely not. Let me make my point, and you might learn something. Statistics are the beginning of a conversation, not the end of it.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
So if you look at statistics as a part of this conversation, right, and then you look at the facts of the matter, they intersect.
Yes.
Statistics are British managers don't. What's the last British manager to win the top league besides Ferguson?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So statistically they don't, and factually they don't. So the common denominator is they don't, and they're not good enough. So my argument is, in my experiences,
How many jobs?
They didn't work hard enough. They come from an institutional environment where the disciplines aren't where they should be, and the reasons why the Premier League is the best league in the world is because we've had an influx of foreign players, an influx of foreign coaches, an influx of foreign managers.
It's hard to disagree with that though, because the evolution of football and the evolution of the world has gone into that same
globalization, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's not just in football.
So I just want to go back to what you were saying there. You know, you talked about the younger players coming through now because of the coaching. I think we've finally, probably over the last 10, maybe 15 years, we've said George's Park. Now, God, this is who the England DNA is, of what the playing styles are from young all the way through. And I do think that has a massive influx, based on your point, from the foreign owners and the foreign players.
What's that, two holding midfield players?
No, not just that.
Moldova, the mighty Moldova, the population of 300,000, and England are playing them.
But my point is not that. My point is more to the fact of when we're coaching now, the 7s, 8s, 9s, they're all playing the same way. That wasn't the case it used to be before. It used to be the first team was the pinnacle, kind of do what you want, and then when
Clubs
you get
do
there,
that now as well, don't they?
But now it's all going through. That's what I'm saying. That I think is something that's come from the foreign market, which we never used to do. Mm-hmm. But I think the idea to say that the English coaches are lazy or not as workers just as hard, I don't think that is sitting as well with me, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, fine, get over it. Because I think it has relevance. It may not have as much relevance.
That's his experience of hiring and firing 9 managers.
Yeah, it is based upon that.
Do you
know, I don't think football changes that much. I think the numbers get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think the principle's the same. If you haven't kicked a ball, you have to listen to a load of fanny from people that suggest that you can't have opinion because you haven't kicked a ball. But the interesting statistic, actually, is if you look at the Premier League, there are actually more English or British managers in the Premier League than there's been for some time.
Yeah.
But if you look at where they're managing, with the exception of David, they're managing at the bottom end of the Premier League. And what we're talking about is elite
has there become
managers.
a snobbery?
Well,
there was a period of time when your name a 10 with an eye or a no.
Dyche would fall into that category, wouldn't you? Because I think he's done a remarkable job at Everton. I think that's an elite manager operating in a different way to what we consider elite managers to be. Because I don't know if one of these so-called highfalutin managers like Arteta could go into Everton and kick ass and take numbers and get that team across the line with what he had to work with.
Do you think Dyche could go and manage Man City? You've just called him an elite manager.
Given that the job that he's done at Everton, I think requires an elite set of thinking because not stylistically. No, hang on.
Elite manager, elite set.
No, hang on.
Of thinking.
Stylistically, right? I don't think Everton, with the group of players they've got, can play the way Man City play. Right? Do I think Sean Dyche could adapt to Man City? Yes. Would he be given latitude because of the categorization of him? Would there be a perception that he wasn't sexy, and so subsequently the media would be all over it and looking at him for the first chink, the first time something didn't go the way it should have done? But then could you take Arteta or Guardiola, stick him into Everton and say, right, you've got this group of players, you've got all this shit going on off the pitch, right? And by the way, you've got a group of Everton fans that are disenfranchised with a ball, the owner's on the way out, but get this team out of the shit that they're in.
I agree with you.
I think that takes an elite mentality. And I think he dug in. Do you not?
No.
Okay.
I'm not understanding elite mentality. I mean,
overcoming adversity.
He plays a certain way Did at Burnley. He's been doing that at Everton, which is, pretty direct. He's used to working with that level of football
But
player.
I would say to you as well, having worked with Sean, he doesn't want to play that way. He goes back to the David Moyes conversation. He's just gone in somewhere, it's been successful, and now has gone, right,
simplifies the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got to deal with that because this is what I'm getting.
See, I think it's a form of intelligence. If you say to yourself, well, I haven't got the players that the goalkeeper can roll it out to, and they can start building up from the back, eliminate, because if you're losing it there, you'll concede goals. So he's a classic case of looking at his group of players and getting the most out of them. And he's done that.
There's a couple of guys that you can look at now that I think have fallen foul of timing and attitudes and outlooks that were once upon a time perceived as elite, which is Jose Mourinho. But the other one that falls into the category of slightly blemished or tarnished is Antonio Conte. I wonder what you two guys made of those two guys, given the fact that actually they both landed in the same space, haven't they? They both managed Tottenham Hotspur. And neither one,
Chelsea.
And Chelsea, absolutely. I think at the Tottenham experience, I was going to say neither one of them come out with
Does anyone just leave your mate with an improved CV?
Well, Pochettino didn't he?
Did he? He sacked him. He sacked him.
Well, he sacked him, but he still left with a perception of him having been successful, taken Tottenham to a Champions League final, wasn't backed by his manager.
Mate, go easy on my mates. See how that
No,
works?
I'm not. I'm saying you made a silly statement, which is no one's reputation gets enhanced by managing Tottenham.
I've asked you to name one. I think Conte and Mourinho are elite managers.
So do I.
I think both of them have interesting personalities, aggressive, confrontational. Some people may say that that's no longer acceptable in our football or society. Ancelotti, who arguably the most successful manager in the history of the game with the trophies he's won, is a very easygoing,
much more temperate character, isn't it?
And I actually think that is the way forward for a manager today. And I worked it out a long time ago that I couldn't be myself. So I thought, this is not for me, because I am someone that if I see something, I find it hard to something that's wrong, in my opinion. I find it hard to walk away and ignore it. And I think today, that's how you have to be. You have to walk away from confrontation.
Picky battles, yeah.
And to simplify it, the tail wags the dog today. The power is with the players. So for Mourinho and Conte, I think maybe they have to adapt.
Just further on that point, do you not think they're both defensive minded as well, or perceived to be defensive minded first?
They're winning the big trophies.
No, I agree. But you talk about perception and from the outside, and in the previous episode, we spoke about David Moyes. The perception is that they're both defensive first and then build on that.
Yeah, but I think that they're not as bad as their stats wouldn't be anywhere near.
No, I agree.
Because they manage bigger clubs with better players. So I think the hard part when you're a big club with fabulous players is to sell that to them.
Yeah.
We're going to be a little bit more negative today. Sell that to the best players who think, wait a minute, I'm the best player around. Let me at them. Let me take them on in a game of football. That's a hard sell to big players.
I agree.
So are we saying that confrontation can't form part of the toolkit that an elite manager manages with?
I think it can. I think it's time and place with anything. But I think now, let's talk specifically to Conte and Mourinho. Their aura and their what they could do is bigger than what they actually will do in terms of the fear of them lashing out and saying this isn't right. Reverberates around the whole world, doesn't it? As opposed to dealing with the actual issue at hand.
You've been in dressing rooms recently.
Yeah.
Do the managers still get after the players in an aggressive way?
Not as much, or not the way it used to be done. You can still get after them, but now you have to get after a player and show detailed reasons on a debrief. Can't be straight after. Can't be when emotions are high, as I've clearly showed it is not the way to do recently. But I think it now has to be detailed on a delivery of this is why and this is why you're doing it. But to be able to do that, you have to have a good enough squad to be able to go, right, you've made this mistake once or twice, you're not making it a third time.
Have a look for a few weeks.
Yeah, but unfortunately the squad, certainly in my situation, wasn't in a position where he's able to remove them quick enough to then go, right, this is what we're doing moving forward. That's how I took that and my lesson learned moving forward anyway.
mean, there is an argument to say that Arteta brought confrontation to the table with Aubameyang, didn't he? He just didn't do it with histrionics. He just went, "You, see you, you're gone."
I think he was cute there. I think he picked that fight.
You think he engineered it?
Yeah,
biggest one in the dressing room. Yeah, you'll do.
Age of Aubameyang coming to the end at this level.
I think as well, one thing that no one really talks about of Arsenal is how Arsenal helped and guided him through that as well. So they had Edu in. Edu knows him. We can talk to him, but we're going to give you the confidence you are our man. But also, we're going to guide you and help you. So whatever your decision is, we'll have a little
support.
We'll have a little bounce back. So he would have obviously said, Aubameyang's got to go. That would have been a conversation before we went and done it. And Eddie would have got to explain to me why, how, what we're thinking. Okay, I could get on board with that. Now go full steam ahead. I think he would have went off on his own tangent and gone, right, I'm going to make a beeline for this guy. That could have
he would have had to have a buy-in from his own. And the fact they did supported him and gave him confidence. But I just want to go back to Mourinho, Graeme, because there's so much said about Mourinho and so much written about him, and lots of it's negative, and lots of it's about the fact he's had his time. I have always believed that Mourinho is an elite manager. I still believe he is one now. I just don't know whether he's going to get another opportunity to manage one of the big clubs again, because I think the passage of time and where people are in their careers just evolves.
I think without a doubt he was or is an elite manager. I looked at him not just in the last couple of years beyond that. I think when he was back at Chelsea, I think what happened with him, I think he got frustrated and felt he was in a situation where he didn't have to be as nice to players as he would have been first time round.
Shall I tell you what John Terry said about that? Because I asked him.
He didn't have to try as hard second time.
Well, I asked him what the difference was between the Mourinhos of 2004 and the Mourinho of 2014 or whenever it was he came back. And his argument was, this might fall into a narrative that you like, was that when he came in to Chelsea first time round, he was head cook and bottle washer. There was nobody he had to go through. There was no politicking. There was no committees of Bruce Buck and Marina and whoever else, and Eugene Tannenbaum, whoever else it was there. There was really Mourinho. He was the boss. He ran the football club. His theory was, when he came back, that there was not the same control in the second tenure. So he didn't have the same omnipotence. He didn't have the same governance. The players could backdoor him.
You know what omnipotence means, don't you?
I ain't got a scoop.
All encompassing.
He doesn't know either.
All encompassing. God is omnipotence. Right? So all encompassing.
If you're a believer,
right?
yeah.
If you're a believer. Right. So that help you?
Got it.
Good. Right. So in this instance,
every day's a school day when I'm with you.
Absolutely.
What you have to do is catch the other words afterwards and then try and make it up.
But you do know he makes his own words up.
I do.
I'll do.
Yeah.
Nice. We say it with conviction. That's all that matters.
I've got a couple of words for you in a minute.
You know, he's a spoofer. He's a spoofer.
Okay.
Right. Isn't it a bluffer?
Yeah, bluffer.
Bluffer.
Irish.
Pivoting off Mourinho, I was really disappointed with Conte. Really disappointed with the manner in which he operated at Tottenham Hotspur. But if you're going to Spurs, right, all joking to one side with Daniel, you know the rules of engagement, right? You're not going to get what you want when you want it. Daniel's not going to change the habits of a lifetime by spending hundreds of millions of quid. But to set the place on fire the way he did, basically, he didn't take. Everyone was shit from Harry Kane downwards. He talked to everybody.
Simon, basically, this is how I'd imagine it would have happened. Conte on the first day sits down with your mate, and he explains, and your mate explains, Daniel explains to Antonio Conte, this is what we're going to spend, this is what we think or what we expect from you.
Yeah.
So there'll be no budget decided between the two of them.
And you think someone reneges on it?
Yeah, for him to go off like that, yeah.
I just think he didn't fancy the job anymore. I don't think he liked the environment. I think he felt he'd made a mistake and perhaps didn't want to be there anymore. But I believe that people leave should always try to leave with people wanting more from you, not less. And Conte's style of football, what people had to watch at Tottenham, the manner in which the crowd descended into darkness because of the style of football, that's got nothing to do with Levy. That's got nothing to do with the idiot owner.
Yeah, but
to use your descriptions.
But one, I never said an idiot owner.
But you think all owners are idiots? Except the ones that give you precisely what you want.
No. I don't think, if Conte's gone there and certain promises have been made, certainly within 3 months he would have known, because that's a transfer window when he goes there. So if he says, we've got this and we can get this one, that, and that doesn't happen, he's entitled to feel a wee bit aggrieved after 3 months.
I would guarantee you that the spend pattern at Tottenham, and it's not because I'm defending Daniel Levy, as is your stock setting. I do like to associate myself with the higher forms of life. Yes, granted. But notwithstanding that, if you look at the spend at Tottenham, I would wager you that there was a decent spend for Conte. But what I'm saying is, we can debate whose fault it might be, but there's the actions and behaviour of an elite manager going out the door and setting the place on fire and just being a complete and utter dark force.
I think you'll see him at another big club in Italy.
I think the Italian league suits him. The reason I say that, obviously, with the Italian owners at Watford and seeing a lot of how they worked at Udine, is very much do as you're told. We control it. Manager is God until he's not. And I think that suits him very, very, very well. But I think his reputation in England is done, personally, with Conte. I don't see him back.
By the way, net spend was about 140 million with Conte, I suppose. So I don't think he probably was sold a pup there. I just don't think he liked the situation. We've kicked around the idea of who've been elite managers.
Well, do we have managers today or coaches?
Well, you tell me.
I would say coaches.
Yeah.
I think there's more coaches now than there is managers.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys don't know how to do things, so you have to be coached into it. No. Rather than managed.
I think that's the way that all the positions that have been created above.
Structure in place, and then the manager gets sacked by these people. Managers come and go. They just
the paymasters.
Cannon fodder, yeah.
But I think the way it's been
pay for failing
set up now is for the director of football, technical director, everyone's got that job is more secure now than the manager's role or the coach's role.
Isn't it strange? Because of all these non-football people that get involved in football and making football decisions. If you look in history, Arsenal successful. Oh, why? Oh, Wenger was there and he was calling all the shots. Fergie was successful because he was calling all the shots. The modern day assumption, isn't it? The modern day successful teams, Man City, who's calling all the shots there? Football people.
Yeah, but why are you? I don't understand this logic of yours that you often trot out.
What I'm trotting out is football people should make football decisions.
Yes, and
agree. The vast majority of football clubs, that's not happening.
And what evidence do you base that upon? Did it happen? Did it happen at your time?
No, I'm talking about today, though.
Okay,
I'm talking about today.
Right. So again, when you were
today,
at Watford,
the structure of a football club today is they have a manager who is answerable to like a football committee with a director of football, sporting director.
Accountable.
Yeah.
Accountable.
So,
something you guys don't like, accountability.
He may have an input or may not have an input, and managers come and go. The idea of these structures put in place is that managers come and go, but the structure stays the same.
But that's common sense.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. I've just told you why the best successful clubs
so Troy's just turned around and said that we've got a pattern of play in this country that's now being replicated in different environments so that people know the continuities. We've got better coaching standards. And now you're saying
that it doesn't work.
Why doesn't it work?
Well, because they've just explained to you the teams that are really successful don't have that business model.
I mean, in your experience at Watford, is that what you think happened to the managers that came in? I know it's different level.
It's difficult, yeah.
But did the players that were coming alongside you in the dressing room, did you get the impression that they were bought for the manager, or that the manager, whoever it may be, Kiki Flores or Garcia or whoever else, Walter Mazzari, or whoever else was there, they had no input into the discussion about which players were being bought?
Very little.
Did
I would say yes, because I feel like that.
Why do you have to ask that question, you fool?
Because I don't believe it to be
managers.
true.
No, because I feel like...
No, hold on. Each manager would have been given some sort of spend pattern.
And I think they all had different nuances. Again, it's difficult. So with Walter Mazzari, very good coach, obviously did really well in Italy. So we had an influx of Italian players.
Which would logically would have come from him.
Yes. But then...
And the owners, they're Italian, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once he got sacked, they all went. So were they all his signings? I think it's easy to say they were. But like you said, we've got Italian owners who probably would have looked at these because of the Udinese connection and said, right, these guys work. I think what it's become now is when you say accountability falls on the coach or the manager, that's fine. But a manager doesn't have total say over all his players in terms of everyone who's coming in, but he's accountable for the way that whole team performs.
We've talked about Arteta because of the nature of what's happening at Arsenal. Do we start making cases for Unai Emery and Zinedine Zidane to start moving into that camp? Do we look at Xabi Alonso, given the remarkable achievements at Bayer in Germany, and the fact that in his first season he's defied all conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
And gone on.
Zinedine, he's only ever had one job, hasn't he? You know, he's taken over a very healthy situation, added to it, and has been a serial winner of the Champions League.
Yep.
Yeah, how can you pass judgment on him as a manager? You have to go and take a job where there's jeopardy, where you know, got to build this. It's going to take my time. It's not going to be a walk into it, and it's going to be right from day one.
I think with Unai Emery as well, we kind of put him to one side because I think he's the anomaly in the whole group. He's continuously worked. He continuously gets jobs, and he continually does it. I think he's on over 900 games managed. It's exceptional. And I think at Aston Villa, he's found a landing spot where he can build.
Yeah.
There's not too much jeopardy, but
he's
they've got some good
he's
money.
learned the lessons from his first experience in England.
And I don't think he'll move on from Villa. I mean, I don't think he's going to go Man United and all those.
By all accounts, they are very good owners.
Yeah, from what I can see and living in obviously in the city, they're only going that way. I've got a question for both of you because I think I know your stance on Mr. Southgate. Do you think he can come back into club football? And do you think
he'll get offered a job?
Do you think he'll be successful?
Listen, I can see him going to Euros and winning it for England this year. Mm-hmm. I think they have to start as favourites. I think you've got a group of players that are more than capable of winning it if they're handled right. And I would suggest that you got enough flair, imagination, goal scoring players at your disposal that he should be letting them off the lead a wee bit more than he does.
Do you think he does well if he comes back in? There was at one time there was talk about going to Man United, right?
Yeah.
That's a possibility. If he goes there and wins the trophy, all the big clubs are.
But if he goes in at Man United, do you think he does well?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I think I would say I'd go this far. And abroad. You get big jobs abroad. If he goes there and doesn't win it, he'll still get a good job in the Premier League.
Do you think that he'll be successful then on that basis?
There's no guarantee. I said one go.
Does that mean you do think he'll be successful or you don't?
No, I would again, I come back to it. Depends what club you're walking into. You know, if you can walk
he's
into...
not going to go to Burnley, is he?
No, but if you walk into the right situation. Unai Emery getting the job at Villa. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a good group of players that Steven Gerrard had. Yeah. They got fabulous owners. Villa have been a club waiting to happen for a very long time. Yeah. Second city of the UK, lots of chimney pots. Mm-hmm. You know, enormous catchment area. They're just waiting to happen. That would have been a great job for someone.
Yeah. What do you think, to Gareth?
I think you can't argue with the fact that given the low bar that's been set over a significant proportion of the time since 1966, that by those levels of success, then you have to say that Gareth Southgate has done a good job. Mm-hmm. But if you set yourself a low standard and managed to achieve it previously, that doesn't make anything else beyond that particularly admirable. But I don't know if he has this switch that elite managers have that make decisions instinctively and make decisions that change the direction of travel in the game. And that means to me that if you advocate for him to go into Man United, how the hell are you going to change what you've currently got there, which is a culture of mediocrity and poor standards? He'll make you more media facing and they might be more palatable and everyone will like him. But will you get a winning side? If he goes and manages a lesser side, if he went and managed Crystal Palace, fine, I could see him working there because he's come from that background. It's a football club that he knows quite well. And it's a football club that will pride itself. And if it got to the top 10 in the Premier League, they'd be delighted under their current regime. But stick him in with a big six job, I think you'll find the cracks come quick and fast.
They have to go there as favourites. They've got a great bunch. You know, and you English are an aggressive bunch anyway, aren't you?
I don't know how you dare.
So let them off the lead. Get after people.
Yeah. Confidence, believe in yourselves. Take the game to the opposition. If you're stronger than the opposition, stick it on them. If you're not, then wait for that. Yeah. Well, there we are. That brings the end of this show.
It's been good fun. This has been 3 Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
Subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.